Hello, my name's Sam and welcome to my channel So Let's Sparkle with Sam, and today is another episode of Behind the Bees. So it is my opinions and only my opinions on the Great British Sewing Bee Season 12 Episode 3, and it is Reduce, Reuse and Recycle Week, which is very exciting. Now it is an absolute scorcher here in Leamington Spa at the Sparkly Studio, and it is hot. And I thought really long and hard about what I was going to wear for this episode, and I have got a really beautiful dress that is very much like the one that the lovely Sophie Willam was wearing in last night's episode. If I can find it, I'll put a picture of her and me here in wearing said dresses. But it is upstairs in my kind of like overflow wardrobe that I tend to wear things that more in the kind of autumn winter. And there was no way I was going up in the attic today because it's too hot, and two, I just think I would have been sweltering hot in it. So what I went for was another kind of reduce, reuse, recycle make that I've made, which is this strawberry shirt that I made from a duvet cover. So this embroidered strawberry duvet cover is in this lovely light cotton fabric, and then I added a little bit of gingham fun to it, a little bit of ric-rac trim, and so this is my take on the reuse, reduce, recycle element of the week. And it's always my favourite week on Sewing Bee. I don't know about you, whether everyone has a favourite week, but I love the reduce, reuse, recycle because I just think it brings out the real creativity in all of the bees. You kind of start to find out what they're really about, what they love, and particularly in this episode, because it was a bit, kind of fashion, not necessarily fashion in politics, but kind of fashion around campaigning and what people kind of really believe in. And it was just a really interesting episode, and I was there for it. Absolutely loved it. Thank you so much for all your lovely messages about last week's video. I'm still a bit down with the shingles. It's going to take a little bit of time to recover, but I really appreciate all of the lovely comments and well wishes. I am taking it nice and easy. I'm having lots of naps and lots of rests in between. But to be honest with you, I really enjoy this vlogging, and just doing this brings a little smile to my face. So thanks so much. It means the world to me. And I really love this little space on the interweb. It's filled with love and kindness and stitching. So yeah, if you fancy staying here for a while, then don't forget to give me a like and subscribe. It's very lovely to have you here. So let's get on, shall we? Let's crack on. Come on, Sam, let's talk about the episode. So the first one was the pattern challenge. Now, I squealed. About a week and a half ago, I squealed when I found out that they were going to be doing a pants challenge. Knickers, panties, knickknacks, call them what you like. I tend to stick to knickers. Underwear. And they were going to do an underwear challenge, and this week's pattern challenge, they were given a pair of knickers pattern, and they had to make 3 pairs, not 1, not 2, 3 pairs from old t-shirts, which I think is a fantastic way of kind of using up jersey t-shirts, because we've all got them, haven't we? We've all got tons and tons of t-shirts in our drawers, so it's a really good way to turn the t-shirts from our drawers into drawers. Another word for knickers. I wonder how many of them I can get into this video today. And those of you that have been here before or know me know that I love making my own knickers. I have made knickers with Kaz, who won Sewing Bee last year. I love making knickers. I've used lots of different knicker patterns, and I have got a knicker tutorial, so I will pop that up there somewhere. So if you fancy having a go at making some knickers, just like the Sewing Bee, you can follow my tutorial. But anyway, that's a bit of a plug. Enough of that. So yeah, they had to make 3 pairs of pants. So it was all about consistency. The elastic that they had was like a more traditional knicker elastic. So you sew it on once, turn it over and sew it on again. I tend to use fold over elastic because I just find it's quicker and easier. And one of the things that I noticed, now again, this is just because I know a lot about knicker sewing. One of the things that I noticed is that Patrick and Esme were deciding which knickers were the most consistent by putting them up together and holding them to see like if the bees had stretched. Now, I think that's a really, that's fair. It's kind of the challenge was consistency. However, that only works if every single one of those t-shirts has exactly the same amount of stretch. Otherwise, it's not a level playing field. So it's quite, because obviously if you pick up, I've noticed that with one pair of jersey, one type of jersey is not necessarily the same as another. And it's definitely something that you learn from making a lot of pants, that you when you pull the elastic, the amount you have to pull does vary. So yeah, I thought, it kind of seemed like quite a simple challenge, but it wasn't. I think it was quite a tricky challenge. But it was lots and lots of fun. One of the things that came out from this challenge, the chatter from this challenge, was that Anna piped up that she doesn't have an overlocker at home. And I mean, it surprised me at first, because looking at Anna and seeing what Anna does and kind of all of her creations, I was thinking that she just came across as someone that would have the gear, have all the bits and pieces. The fact that she didn't have an overlocker, and also the fact that she didn't have an overlocker, didn't surprise me as well as surprised me. I know it's contradictory, but I do think that maybe, you can do everything on a sewing machine if you need to, so why not? And yeah, I just thought it was something that I thought I'd noted. I have to say, a little note on this episode, the puns were proper dad jokes time in this episode. Normally I'm there for it, because I mean, I'm a bit of a punny girl. I like a pun. But yeah, they all went for it, particularly Patrick and Esme, and then Sophie with her comments about going commando. Yeah, it was, it was a fun episode. Now, because yesterday I normally do a pub quiz on a Tuesday, but I definitely wasn't up for that. This week I haven't been up for that for a couple of weeks. So my family stayed at home with me. They decided to stay at home with me, and we watched it all together last night. And sitting in a room with your husband and your adult son, watching people make knickers was quite interesting. And and they all had an opinion on it as well, which made it really good fun. So yeah, I enjoyed last night's episode, particularly the pattern challenge. So I know what you want to know. You want to know, well, how did all the bees get on? Now, Emma stood out to me, because straight away, as we was getting into it, I was like, Emma's going to be really good at this. I remember saying to Mr. Sparkles, Emma's going to be really good at this. She makes swimwear. And the thing is, if you make swimwear, then elastic, how to put it on, you know how much you have to how you have to handle it. So I kind of knew at the beginning that Emma was going to know what she was doing. And I also felt that I thought Rebecca looks like someone, she's made knickers before. And they did do really, really well. Tim and Lewis, however, they came across as perhaps they hadn't made knickers before, and so I felt a little bit sorry for them. I think they were definitely on a learning journey with that one, but again, it's a competition, and it's always good to learn new skills. And Patrick even said something to Tim at the end that, don't beat yourself up, it's all new skills. And I think that was really lovely. I thought that was a nice thing to say. So let's go to the Sparkly scoreboard, where we have got Tim in 10th place, Lewis 9th, Adele 8th, Angie 7th, Anna is 6th, Heather is 5th, Beth is 4th, Rebecca 3rd, Minnie 2nd, and first was indeed Emma. So Emma was off to a really good start, and one of the things that she said was that I can go home safe in the knowledge that Patrick Grant liked my knickers. And yeah, I mean, what a lovely thing to have, she's got that forever, hasn't she? So well done to all the bees, but well done to Emma. That was a cracking pattern round. And that brings us on to the transformation challenge. So this year, I've watched a lot of Sewing Bees and I've watched a lot of the Recycle Weeks, and this time they did it slightly different. So they sent Patrick and Esme off to a kind of shop called Scrap, and it's where there's a big warehouse where you get lots of kind of recyclable materials, lots of kind of dead stock fabrics, plastics, all sorts of things, but things that can be used to make garments, and some things that perhaps shouldn't be used to make garments, but it is the transformation challenge. It is a good one. And they went shopping and had a lovely time picking out things. Patrick was trying to pick out all of the brown things that Esme wouldn't like. And I think Esme was just looking at all of the shiny baubles and having a great time. So when they came back to the sewing room, the contestants were told that they could have one piece of fabric and then any of the bits and pieces, but they were told not to be greedy. So I think perhaps they wanted them to, anything that they did pick, they wanted them to use wisely, which I think, that's fair enough. And then the brief was drama at the back. And I was like, well, the first things first was, I was like, oh, this is going to be really difficult for me to screenshot, because whenever they put the things on, you just get a shot at it. And I was like, I'm not going to be able to show people what's going on at the back. So apologies. The screenshots aren't great for this one. I'm going to do the best I can, but they aren't great because the drama was all in the back. So I'm going to try and do my best to explain how it all went. So Tim made, when I first saw it, it brought back traumatic memories of when I worked in a primary school and I helped out making nativity costumes. I wasn't a sewer then. I didn't sew. I didn't know one end of a sewing machine from another. And I made lots of hashed together costumes out of velvet curtains that people had donated to make, three kings and camels and things. And it took me, Tim's outfit took me straight there. It had the tassel and everything, but it had some quite nice structure to it, and I could see where he was going. But yeah, it gave me a bit of trauma, that one, definitely. And if anyone's ever worked in a primary school, you'll all know exactly what I mean. Rebecca's I loved. I thought Rebecca's was kind of Barbie vinyl madness that Rebecca does really, really well. She made a kind of pleather mini skirt with a massive bow on the back. I think it's all getting a bit samey now. They're like, oh, let's impress Esme, let's stick a bow on the back. But I liked the bow, and it was not just a bow, it was, the kind of whole impact, and I thought it worked really, really well. I did enjoy that one. Lewis, let's have a moment for Lewis. Now, I got the impression this week wasn't really Lewis's bag, which is fair enough, because I think, not everybody is into kind of like upcycling, recycling, and I think he found finding the creativity of, well, what do I do with this, quite difficult. And I'm going to be honest, that kind of showed a little bit in what he produced. He made a very, very simple tabard, and then what looked like a bit, I think Patrick said it was something like a rickshaw cover, or maybe like on a pram when it comes up over the top. I don't know whether it was meant to be a cape or a hood. It was a piece of potato sack. And again, it worked. But for me, the brief was drama in the back, and just having that, it kind of brought drama to the front, but the drama wasn't in the back. So I'm not quite sure whether that hit the brief. But I think it was a really tricky week for Lewis. Now on to Emma. I mean, I'm loving Emma. As the weeks go on, I'm realising that me and Emma, we would be good friends because she just took it literally. They want drama in the back, I'll give them a drama in the back. Now, I think what would Sam do if I was doing this challenge? I would go Emma's way with drama in the back, but rather than the more traditional drama that Emma chose of kind of Shakespeare, Romeo and Juliet, which is, amazing, I'd probably go like down and dirty drama, like EastEnders kind of. I don't watch soap operas, but to me that's kind of like dramatic, you know, kind of. I don't know, or a scene from ER or something with like blood spurting out. Maybe that's more horror than drama. But yeah, I think I might have gone in that way. But I loved what Emma did. It was fantastic. Heather did a kind of tubed bows with tassels. It was absolutely beautiful. So Heather had used the tubing to kind of make the drama of the kind of, so the bow kind of came out and round, and this one was really difficult to photograph, and then it had like a tassel. Lovely. Now minis, I was looking at minis. I loved minis. I thought minis was up there with one of my favorites. I really loved what she did. I thought it was really beautiful. It just looked very different, you know. Yeah, it was a bit crazy, but that's what they asked for. And it was kind of all cut out of rope, and you could see like the rope through the fabric and the fabric over the rope, and there was drama all over rather than just at the back. And I kept looking at it and I kept saying, I was like, that reminds me of something. What does it remind me of? It really reminds me of something. And then I suddenly realised that it reminded me of an old school advert for a perfume bottle. And then I remembered it was the Jean Paul Gaultier, I think it was called Sailor or something like that. The bottle, I'm going to try and see if I can find a picture of it. And that's what it reminded me of, which again, and I am something that maybe you don't know about me. I love perfume bottles. I just love perfume bottles. I mean, I love perfume, and I always like to smell nice, but I've got a thing for perfume bottles, and I just think that they're really beautiful. And I often pick my scent on the bottle. So yeah, if Minnie wants to create a perfume for me like that would just be great. That's fantastic. Really like that. Adele did kind of, again, a bow back. She kept it very Esme friendly, and then used great use of the curtain eyelets. And I think I would have probably picked out the curtain eyelets. For me, that's something, it's kind of a bit industrial looking. And it's good. It's, you know, it's good for a recycled project. Angie, she did what she likes to do and did some applique, which I thought was fantastic. She appliqued some kind of film around some fabric and then did some lovely box pleating at the back for her drama at the back and added a tassel. I think she kept it very safe. It, you know, rather than drama. I mean, it looked great at the back, but it still looked, you know, kind of very precise and very Angie. It felt a little safe. And then who have I missed out? Beth. How could I miss out Beth? Bless. I've got terrible brain fog at the moment. I do apologise. I loved Beth. Beth played with the stripes. I have to say, I found it a little bit more difficult to find the added things that Beth used for hers. I just saw a lot of kind of fabric, but how she manipulated the fabric was really good, and I really enjoyed that. So yeah, it was great. So over to the Sparkly scoreboard, and we have got Angie in 10th place, Lewis 9th, Adele 8th, Tim 7th, 6th was Beth, 5th was Minnie, then there was 4th Emma, 3rd Heather, 2nd Rebecca, and 1st was Anna. Now I've left Anna because Anna's just took my breath away. I was like, how did she make that in 90 minutes? 90 minutes they have to make that. And hers was like a full leather pleather ball gown with this kind of corseted rope back train, you know. I could have seen it like some kind of Met Gala outfit, but you know, for climate change. I mean, like, I don't know how she did that in 90 minutes. If someone can let me know. I loved it. It was my favourite. I'm glad it was first. It would have been first in my book. I just thought it was absolutely stunning. So this brings us on to the made to measure. Now, do you know what? I always used to say that the transformation challenge was my favourite, but I am really enjoying the made to measures this year. Really, really enjoying them. And they might be fast becoming my favourite too. So they had to make an outfit with an environmental message, which I think is quite a broad brief, but also quite a difficult brief. And they all went about it in very different ways, which made it for a really enjoyable episode. They're allowed to practice at home, if you didn't know this, but the idea is that they have to have a perfect fit on the models on the day. Now, in no particular order, I'm going to start with Lewis. So Lewis was the only kind of bee that went down the kind of road of, I'm just going to keep it simple rather than it have a message. The message is just going to be in the simplicity of the make, which I like the idea of. And I think he made a kind of wrap jumpsuit. It may have been the Zadie jumpsuit that kind of is all over the sewing community. It might not be. I've not made the Sadie. I've kind of seen it a lot, and I kind of assumed that that's what it might be. It was a very simple linen with cotton thread. So the idea is that, it will biodegrade. Once people have finished wearing it, it will just go into the earth again. It was very, very simple. It was just, plain, simple fabric, sewn simply, done in a simple way. And it was sewn beautifully. And I did really like the idea. But I like a bit of drama, me. I like a bit of pop. I like a bit of, oomph. And I was waiting for the oomph and it didn't come. But it was a really, really lovely. It was a beautiful make. Just maybe not very much oomph. Then there was Tim. Tim's oozed oomph. Complete opposite. It was kind of in your face. It had messages across it. He called it a masculine smock dress. Grow your own power. And it was all about him growing his own food. It actually the words grow your own or grow your power was written on the train of the dress. Tim had a male model. I love dresses on men. I think it's fantastic to see. I think it should be made much more kind of widely spread around that, it's just lovely. It's lovely to see colour on a man, and it was just a really, really lovely idea. However, and I think this was a bit of a shame, I was there for Tim. I really wanted Tim to have a perfect fit and this kind of message across. There was just a few things, and Tim has been working with his model for a few weeks now, so it's not like he doesn't know his model size. He does. So I am going to be looking quite closely at Tim for, just making sure that made to measure improves as it goes along, because I think it's little tweaks and then he will have an outstanding garment. Then there was Angie. Angie made a beautiful princess themed patchwork dress, and I thought this was a lovely idea. She used, like the pattern books that you get, the fabric swatches books that you get from Soft Furnishings. So if you're going to go and buy a sofa or a chair or whatever, they'll give you a flip up where you can choose the different fabrics that you can use, and obviously those books then go into landfill. What she did is took them all of the squares out, patchworked them into fabric, and then made a beautiful patchwork dress. Angie's problem, like everything, like everybody's problem on Sewing Bee, was time. She ran out of time. She didn't have time to finish it as beautifully as I know it would have done. If Angie had been given all of the time in the world, we would have had the most beautiful patchwork dress on that catwalk. And she just didn't quite have the time. And it made me feel a little bit emotional, because I could see the upset in her that, she just not had time to do it. But I love the idea. It was really, really gorgeous. Minnie. I loved Minnie's idea too. So Minnie made like a crop jacket and skirt, like almost like a power suit in wool. And it was a beautiful kind of butter yellow, which is very in at the moment, not something that I can wear, but very beautiful. And then she made her own Dorset buttons, which again, no plastic, just kind of old school techniques. And she made it all without a sewing machine. She hand sewed the whole thing in 5 hours. So my star award goes to Minnie this week, because that was amazing. You know, it was just the idea that you're going to go and sew and be, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to hand sew this. I've only got 5 hours, 2 garments. I'm going to hand sew and make the buttons. I mean, amazing. So I thought that was really good. I really loved that. I loved Adele's idea. Adele made a mermaid princess dress. Now the fabric she used, I've worked with before. I've got a backpack upstairs in that fabric. It's kind of got waves and really beautiful. I love the fabric. And then she put Save Our Seas on. I also noticed on Adele a lot of Little Rosy Cheeks labels. So, you know, just a little plug there. Great labels, great, you know. Great choices, Adele, for labels. And then she put like a fishing net over the top, and then just stuck on a load of plastic rubbish, nonsense, broken dolls, poo bags, you know, bits of plastic tat that you have around your house, that, you know, because it's a, you know, this is the message, we are destroying our seas. And I think the main comment to that one was there wasn't enough rubbish on it. But I did feel for Adele, because I have that kind of talking to myself every time. It's like, is it too much? Is it too much? Is it not enough? And it's a fine line, isn't it? And I think that Patrick would have quite liked more, and Adele made the decision to do a bit less. And I mean, I think it did the trick. And I did really enjoy it. Beth. I loved Beth's idea again. I loved a lot of the ideas this week. It was just kind of great brain food, you know, for creative minds. She decided to make Bag for Life. You know, the bags for life that you get from the supermarket, the ones that are a bit plasticky, and you'd think you never want a dress made out of it, but she made a dress out of it. And it was amazing, and it was really structural. She made the real use of the kind of structure of the fabric. She also took off the handles and made the handles into fastening. I saw the D-rings. It was just fantastic. And coming down the runway, it was a real wow. I loved that one. Rebecca made a tent jumpsuit. Now, we've seen outfits made from tents before. Last year, the bees made outfits made from tents. So for me, although I really enjoyed it, I'd kind of seen it before, so it didn't give me that kind of real wow, but I thought it was made beautifully, and she did a really, really good job on that. And I love Rebecca. And then there was Heather's. So Heather's fabric, it kind of went kind of ombre, and then she had like an over netting 2-piece, looked very kind of ball gowny. I did like Heather's. I found that Heather's messaging perhaps wasn't as clear for me as some of the others, although I thought she executed it really, really well. Emma's jumpsuit, I thought Emma's jumpsuit was great. She said it was a zero waste pattern, so I will be stalking Emma's Instagram for the next few days to find if I can find that zero waste pattern for that jumpsuit, because I think that's something that my baby Sparkles would really like. As soon as I saw it, and I was like, Joe would like that. So and what she did was she made, it was from an old duvet cover with, you know, when duvets have one colour on one side and another colour on the other side. Well, one was a dark blue, the sea, and then a lighter blue. And she dyed the lighter blue one with tea and coffee to give it kind of that murky kind of idea. So the bright blue was what our seas should look like, and this dirty, icky colour is what we're doing to the seas. And so the front was all lovely and new and the back was not. And I really liked that. I thought the idea was great. What the main kind of comment was that it wasn't dirgy enough. And yeah, I mean, I kind of agree with that, but I thought what she did was really, really good. And it was a lovely kind of finished outfit. And I really enjoyed it. Yeah, I thought it was lovely. I thought it was really, really nice. So yes. And then I'm leaving it to last again. I'm leaving Emma to last because Emma blew me away. I've not got emotional yet this year. Anna made me a bit emotional this week. She made Patrick a bit emotional. I just thought it was stunning, and not only what she did, but how she did it in the time, and the amount of research that's gone into it and thought that went into it. And actually, I've done a bit more research. It made me want to go out and find out about the things that she was talking about. And I think that that's what makes a fantastic garment, because it gets people talking. And that's it, isn't it? That's all about what a campaign is about. It's getting people talking about fashion, getting people talking about the bigger picture in fashion. And it was just amazing, beautiful. So what Anna did, the first thing, which is always really clever, and my friend Luke from season 10 of Sewing Bee was very good at this, was that Anna made her own fabric. So she got her fabric, she treated her fabric, and then she used a Himalayan balsam flower, which is a flower that is basically come over here to this country and is stopping the kind of native flowers from growing. So it kind of like taken over our kind of natural habitat. So she's taken this flower, she's treated her fabric, she's hammered it on to make it print onto the fabric, and made the most beautiful fabric. And then made a dress. And I think this flower kind of came in the 1800s sometime, and then made a dress from the 1880s that was banned because it was kind of taking over from the wool industry. And I mean, just what genius. And not only was the idea, but the execution was amazing. Her model looked amazing in it. And it was quite, you know, there was quite a lot of work to do. And again, 5 hours, breathtaking. So surprise, surprise, not. Anna won Garment of the Week. And there were, you know, it was a worthy win, in my opinion. I thought it was absolutely fantastic. Which brings us on to the sad part of the episode. And it was a little bit sad, but it was time for Angie to go. And yeah, I think Angie had a difficult week, but she has done so well. And just a little personal note from me, Angie, if you are watching, if you are listening, well done. I am so proud of you. Yeah, you've definitely made us all very, very proud. You've done so well, and yeah, congratulations on being a bee. And I'm looking forward to bumping into you soon, maybe in Leamington, maybe in Warwick, maybe we'll have a cup of tea. You've done really, really well, and well done. So now it's time for the thoughts of the lovely baby Sparkles.
Hi everyone, Baby Sparkles here, doing my recap of Sewing Bee. I thought my main thing with this week is I think there were lots and lots of made to measures that I really, really liked. So I really liked Tim's, the Grow Your Power one. I think dresses for boys are really cool. I really like all dresses for boys, and I would definitely wear that. I would definitely also wear Emma's, the jumpsuit, really cool. But I just think she made what she was wearing, which respect, you got your own style. Minnie's, the handcrafted one, really, really impressive. Anna's one, very deservedly, really, really interesting. I had a friend that made a similar kind of fabric to that, and it is really difficult to do. Adele's looked to me like Alice in Wonderland had been dropped in the ocean, which I think was really cool, or Dorothy, on the two of them. I thought Beth with Bag for Lives, I think she was unlucky not to win. I think Anna it was really close between the two of them. And yeah, other than that, I think the first challenge was pretty pants. So the first challenge had some pretty pants. That's what I meant.
Next week is Mexico. Not sure about Mexico week. I'm not sure I know a lot about Mexican fashions, but I'm very interested to find out. So yeah, if you want to join me for all of the behind the bees next week.
And don't forget to sparkle.